Hello my lovelies, thought I'd do a live cast today from Nikki Beach St Tropez, and I've got a real goodie for you today, the 8th deadly sin, and I guarantee you don't know what it is. And this isn't a bit of sort of like Christian esoteric, well actually it is, but it is directly relevant to something I face every day, to something my friends face every day, and I'm sure to something you face every day. I was at this silent retreat at a monastery with the Benedictine monks about a year ago, and as part of it you get 30 minutes with your monk, right? And I was really pleased because I got the bishop and I was like, oh yeah, look at this, I got the head guy. So we were talking and we talked about fear, and I was talking about sort of having awareness of critical thinking, being able to think about my thinking, which for me is one of the biggest gifts of recovery. And he said and how I could sort of like detect negative thoughts, and he said oh yeah, that's particularly useful for us monks. He said that keeps us from the sin of the 8th deadly sin. I was like, wow, the 8th deadly sin, there's another sin I've never heard about. And he said yes, it is the sin of acedia, A-C-E-D-I-A. What's acedia, you may ask? So bear with me while I explain it. Acedia was something that was said to afflict the nuns and the monks of St Benedictine, who were known as the Desert Fathers, right? It was called the noonday demon because what it would do is it would strike at noonday, which is where we are right here in Nikki Beach. It's just gone past noon. The sun is at its highest, and what would happen is the monk would be at work, right? He would have got up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. He would have had to pray, and he would have to do tons of work. And by about noontime, he'd be seriously jacked off with all of this. He'd be thinking like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to follow Christ. I don't want to be in this monastery. The abbot's a dickhead. None of this makes any sense. I could be a soldier. I could be off in the wars. I could be wenching right now. I could be making myself rich. I could be doing what my brothers were doing. I could have married that girl from the village. I want to do anything rather than what I should be doing at the moment. And what it is, in a nutshell, is it distracts you. The demon of acedia distracts you from your purpose. It takes you away from what you really should be doing. Now, does that sound familiar? It certainly does for me, because anytime so I'll tell you a story about myself and how this relates back to me. I remember I was in Thailand when I was going to write the book, which eventually became my master course on director's treatments, and I said to myself, okay, you've got 2 months to write this book, and you're going to do it in Thailand, and you're going to nail it within 2 months. And I was like, okay, and I did. But I remember I was by the beach, I was in Pattaya. I'd gone to a meeting that morning. I was feeling really good, and I thought to myself, I sat down and I was feeling good, but I was just like, I just don't want to do this. This is everything that I want to do. It's everything that I should do, but I just don't want to do it. It's the demon of acedia. At a secular level, we call it procrastination, or we call it sloth. But it's a big deal, right? This is one of these, sloth is one of the 7 deadly sins. This is what keeps us from purpose. This is what stops us being the best expression that we can be of ourselves. This is what prevents us from sort of like really putting our magic and putting our light into the world. Acedia, the 8th deadly sin. So I thought I'd leave that with you. Now, when I'm just feeling off my game, I have to look. I have to reach in me and go, okay, what is this? Why don't I feel like doing this? And often there's no fucking good reason. It's just because I'm lazy. But here's something. If you want to understand how to beat acedia, read To the Work, Turning Pro, or The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, because he talks about how the artist beats resistance. And that is a primal battle that anyone who's an artist, you're a creative person, if you're a writer, director, producer, art director, you fight that battle every day. The battle with resistance, the battle with procrastination. And he said nothing feels worse. He said nothing feels worse for me than not doing what I know I should be doing. And I was like, I wonder if that's true. And you know what? For me, it is. And what that is, it's the demon of acedia, the noonday demon. So don't give in to that fucker. Just push through it, and the answer is very simple: get into action. With the monks, it was just like pray that demon away and get back to doing what you're supposed to be doing. Stay on purpose, focus, intention, momentum. That's the name of the game. Having said that, I'm off to lunch, and I will be doing another video very soon.